hate to be the one to break it to you, but if you are waiting until summer to get lean for summer, you're fucked. You are absolutely fucked. The summer body that you want starts in the shitty early months of the year, right? Definitely shitty if you're in the UK and you've not seen the sun for, I don't remember when I last saw the sun in the UK, which is why I'm in Vietnam, right? But you need to start this early. You need to start it early in the year, in the shitty, dark months that suck a bit of dick, to actually give yourself time to get to the level of physique that you want. Most guys leave it until fucking June and then go, shit, I've got more fat to lose than I thought. I thought this would be a 1 week and done jobby. Unfortunately, it didn't quite pan out like that. Unfortunately, you do have more body fat to lose than you thought or than you think, right? And I wanted to have this conversation with you guys so that you've got realistic expectations and you don't make this another summer where you're sat in the shade, feeling like shit, wishing you'd made changes sooner. So look, as much as we can lose fat aggressively, and I'm personally a big fan of that. I don't like dieting, so getting it done quicker, I'm all in on that, right? So we absolutely can do that, but it still takes a level of time. You know, it's still not going to be 1, 2, 3 weeks. And the thing is, you've probably got to lose a lot more fat than you think to look the way that you want, which sucks to hear, but I'm not the kind of guy that's gonna bullshit you. I've had countless guys come to me and think and say, yeah, so I want abs. I'm thinking, I could lose about 5 kilo. I'll build some muscle. Muscle weighs more than fat, and then I'll have the physique that I want. But these have 20 kilos to lose plus, and muscle and fat are two completely different entities. Okay. And unfortunately, this isn't a one-off. This is a common conversation. So you need to give yourself a sufficient amount of time. Okay. And that's going to depend, like how much time you need is going to depend on your starting position, the level of leanness that you want to get. 12 to 16 weeks is a pretty solid time frame. And for me, I would always look to get lean early to give myself a bit more time. So in case shit hit the fan, I got ill or whatever, then it's fine because I've given myself a buffer. And preferably, I would like to be on higher calories over the summer as well, which if you get lean early, if you can hear construction, I do apologize. The construction here is crazy. But yeah, if you get lean early and then you do a proper reverse diet, you can finish your diet and get yourself to a place where you're maintaining your physique on a much higher amount of food throughout the summer, where there's going to be beers, barbecues, festivals, holidays. Fuck me, I love a beer in the sunshine. It hits so hard. Tell me, what do you think is better? An ice cold can of White Monster, a Coke Zero, or a ice cold beer in the sun? It's close, but I do love a nice beer in the sun. But yeah, anyway, so you don't want to send yourself massively backwards through the summer, which you will do if you diet into the summer and then put yourself in a large surplus. Okay, you will end up going backwards very, very quickly because you didn't give yourself enough time to raise calories properly. So get lean early. I would massively urge you to start now. But how do we set this up? Okay, so from a nutrition standpoint, 10 to 12 calories per pound of body weight works well for most. I personally like to take a more aggressive approach with myself because I don't like dieting. I like having the total freedom and flexibility to do what I want. Okay, to be able to eat a good amount of food, to go traveling, go out, have a couple beers. So whenever I diet, I like to get it over and done with as quickly as possible, whilst maintaining performance, maintaining like the level of muscle that I have. Okay, so I like to go on the lower end and just get it over and done with ASAP. Okay, but you can go slightly slower as well. Okay, that's just personal preference and sort of timeline dependent. But if you're looking at that, as long as all else is even, right? 10 calories, right, per pound of body weight rather than 12, you're going to be losing fat faster. If you're not adherent with that, then, maybe a slow approach is going to be better. If you are carrying more body fat, you do have more energy reserves. So as long as you're adherent, you can go lower. Please bear in mind, this is an estimated amount. Okay, it is a best fit for most people. Okay. What you then need to ensure is high level adherence and assess what is happening, know what the response is over the next 2 weeks before making any sort of change. Okay. What that change may be, we'll get into at the end when we've fleshed more of this out so that you've got a clear idea on exactly what it is that you need to do. Now that you've got your calorie target, how the fuck do we feel that? Okay. So, first of all, you need to be hitting good quality amount of protein. Now, you don't need to have an exact protein target. A range is great. 0.7 to 1.2 grams per pound of body weight or ideal body weight is fantastic. Okay. The reason we want this is to preserve muscle as we're going through a dieting phase, to build muscle, because yes, you still can build muscle in a diet, especially if you are, newer to the gym, if you're holding more body fat, and if your training was just shit before. I mean, you can anyway, but this is where you're going to be in a more primed position to do so. Okay. It's also going to help you stay full, stay satiated throughout your diet, as protein is the most filling macronutrient. Then we've got healthy fats, so around 0.6 per kilo of body weight. This is going to be calorie goal dependent. It may be a little bit lower for a period of time whilst body weight gets reduced, but this is still so important for brain health, energy production, absorbing certain minerals, regulating hormones. They are absolutely essential. We got carbohydrates, which are just going to make up the remainder of your calories, but are crucial for training performance. Better performance, more muscle build, and then you're going to have a better physique. Okay. Please do not forget fruit and veg, right? Fucking eat them. Lots. One of or both at every meal. Okay. Please, 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 please do not forget them. They're great for your health, right? But they are going to be so filling because you can eat so much for very, very few. Now, I love flexible dieting, but I'm not on board with this eat whatever you want and get lean bullshit. Absolutely not. You need to eat good quality food. 80-20 works very well, okay, where you eat good quality food 80% of the time, and 20% of the time you can do whatever tickles your little gooch, right? That still needs to fit within your overall calorie goal. Okay. You can't be, hit your calorie goal, go, right, that was good quality food, and then have 20% on top or whatever. No, make up 80% of your calorie goal with good quality whole foods, and then 20%, can be a continuation of that if you want, but it can also be some fucking marshmallows for all I care, because you've covered the base of your nutrition with good quality food. Okay. So that's your setup. Beyond that, I don't care so much what you do with your food in terms of timing, frequency, as long as it works for you and you can be consistent with it. That's the most important thing, right? There is no best meal frequency. There are no best meal timings. It's what works for you. Now, I would urge you to have a level of consistency with your routine. I wouldn't be having 2 meals some days, 3 meals others for this, eating at this time, sometimes this time others, unless your shifts absolutely demand that the routine has to be totally different. I would always strive to stick to the same sort of routine. Okay. Now, the reason for that is your body loves routine. You will notice that you will be hungry at certain times. It's the same with your sleep, energetic at times, tired at times. So your body loves routine. So the more that we can give it that, the better. As for your trading, keep it the same. You are not automatically weaker because you started a diet. I see lads do this all of the time. "Oh, I'm dieting, so I've obviously got to lift less weight." You should still be progressing. Stop being a fanny. The only time I would expect to see like regressions is if you're absolutely shredded. You're absolutely shredded and you're at the back end of a diet on photo shoot prep, or you're getting on stage or something. But for the regular person who's just getting lean, yeah, you'll have some sessions that you go a little bit backwards. I had a bit of a shit session yesterday at the time recording this, right? But stop being a fanny. Stop being a fanny, right? If someone trains really fucking hard, or it's the arse end of the diet, we may want to reduce total volume, so the total amount of sets that you're doing. But most guys really don't know how to train super, super hard. So I would usually just keep things the same here. Now, in terms of your progression, this has to be your goal every single session. Every session has to be, right, we're chasing, a move forwards. Now, the easiest thing to do with this is when you hit the top of the rep range, you increase the weight by the smallest available increment, right? And I would do this using a dynamic double progression approach, whereby if you hit it in your first set, the following week you increase in the first set. And if your next set's going to drop you out of the rep range, then you use the weight from the previous week. Okay. So you don't have to get all of your sets up to the top before you then increase, right? Because you don't need to lift the same weight for every single set, right? If you increase and you hit the bottom of the rep range with the higher weight, then you just use the previous weight, right? Until you're going to stay within the rep range. And it's just more of like a rolling mechanism. So say you're bench pressing 8 to 10, right? You're bench pressing 95 kg, right? And you hit, say, what did I say the rep range was? 8 to 10. You hit 10. Then the following week, you're going to go up to 100 kg, but you hit 8 reps. You're going to then go back to 95 kg for the second and third set if you were doing, say, 3 sets, because you would fall out of that rep range. But then the following week, you might get 9. So the second set, you're going to stay on that 100 kg, right? And see where you land. Now, from a nutrition perspective, we are just needing to make sure that we're fueled going into our training so that we can still perform very, very well. That is it. Simple as that. I really wouldn't go chopping and changing programs. I mean, I wouldn't do this anyway, but when you start a diet, the goal here is to maintain and build muscle. Unless your routine was total shit before, obviously. But if you're going into a diet, you want to know exactly what the numbers are that you need to be striving for, that you need to be maintaining. If you're just going in doing a whole load of new exercises, you don't know, if that's your actual PB, what your body is physically capable of. You might get sore from it, but that doesn't mean you're maintaining muscle and progressing. Okay, because you don't know where you stand numbers wise. Now, activity and cardio. I'm an advocate of everybody doing some form of cardio because it's great for your health, of course. It's going to burn some additional calories, which is fantastic. But also, it's going to mean you're fitter. So when you're doing your resistance training sessions, you're not failing your sessions because you're just gassed out. You're failing because you actually hit muscular failure. Okay. Now, for the most people, though, I would start with increasing steps and then add cardio later. Increase your overall daily activity first because it's so low impact. I mean, as is most cardio, right? Depending on what it is that you're doing, if you're doing low intensity, steady state on the bike or something, but steps is dead easy to do. Okay. And your steps are your biggest calorie burn that you're in control of. There is no magic number, none at all, right? But people who do higher amounts of steps, like 8, 10K plus, have been shown to live longer, which for me is quite the win. It's pretty decent that. Okay, so you get leaner and you live longer. Class. Okay, just look at where you're at right now and look at doing some more to progressively get you up between 8 and 12K. I generally average about 12. And then with cardio, when I start to layer that in, I'd start small at like 2 by 15 to 20 minutes, so like a 5, 6 out of 10 intensity where you could somewhat chat to the person next to you, right? Really, really easy. Doesn't need to be balls to the wall. If you are starting to do more like HIIT style training, then you just need to be wary of your recovery. I personally prefer more low intensity stuff. Okay, but then I told you I would walk you through exactly what to do when you hit a plateau. So if fat loss stalls for 14 days, you've got to be brutally honest first. Are you accurately tracking? Are you skipping certain things like workouts, steps? Are you snacking over, not tracking absolutely everything? Not weighing your food, adding sauces, adding coffees? Are you sleeping poorly? Are you stressed? Fix adherence issues before making any changes. All right. And then step 2 is reflect. If adherence has slipped, why is that? You've fallen into a previous habit loop like stress eating, emotional eating. Maybe you've just built some diet fatigue and need a bit of a break. Maybe you want to go into a period of maintenance for a week, 2 weeks, refresh, and then push again. All has been on point. Then we can look to make an adjustment. And here's, some reasonable adjustments that I would look to make, right? Plus 2,000 daily steps, or as option A. Option B, plus 20 minutes of weekly cardio. C, a reduction of 5 to 10% in overall calories. It's different levers that you can pull, and you're going to want to pull different ones at different times. For the most part, you're probably going to get your movement to a decent level, but the majority of your adjustments will likely come from food because there's only so much time in the day, and you're only going to have so much energy to do cardio, right? I don't want to be doing an hour's worth of cardio. Definitely not. I'd rather just eat 200 less calories for a period of time, right? But pick one, test it for 14 days and reassess. Okay. See what the result is. What I want you to bear in mind, however, is you're going to really struggle to maintain this if you're massively under recovered and burnt out. So there's a few things that I think are also a massive priority. Your sleep. Since I've come to Vietnam, I've had a bit of difficulty with this, right? Because I've been working a little bit later, but my body is still waking up at like 6:30 a.m. So I've been really underslept for me, and it's kicking my ass, right? So I am, really doing my best to fix this at the moment, getting to sleep earlier so that I can have, some more fucking rest, right? Because my training performance isn't at the level it could be. My focus is a lot harder. I'm consuming a lot more caffeine, okay? And it's not great. So your sleep is a huge one. If you're underslept, you're going to be putting yourself at major risk of muscle loss. Your appetite is going to be increased, right? And when you are feeling like that, you ain't craving chicken salad, because I'm definitely not. I would love to sit here and just smash a load of sushi. I really would, or burritos or something. The next is your organization. Okay. If you're poorly organized, shit won't get done. You won't know what it is you're meant to be eating when you're doing your steps, when you're doing your training. It is crucial that you plan ahead properly. And with your organization, planning fun, shit that you enjoy. Otherwise, you just resent what you're doing. You feel shit. Things have no purpose, and it's just like, whatever. Okay. No matter what that fun is, plan it in. Even if it's going for a few drinks, going out for dinner, you need to have a battle plan for that. So what I'll do is, in the description of this, I'll link the social life blueprint that I provide to my clients for them to be able to go out, lose fat, build muscle, and still have a few beers, or go out, have dinner, have a good time while still losing fat. Now, one thing I want to leave you with is our adherence builder. I think it's fundamental for long-term success and changing the way that you'll approach this. Okay. Because people go about consistency and adherence the complete wrong way. They only ever have one plan. They don't know how to navigate all circumstances. So the car's either moving at 100 miles an hour, or it ain't moving at all. And, sometimes we're going to hit traffic. We're going to hit roadworks. There's going to be an accident. There's going to be shit that happens. So we need to have a plan for all circumstances. So if you're on YouTube, I'll attach the link in the video to take you to the adherence builder. If you're watching this on a podcast platform, I'll link it in the description of the video. So we'll leave this one here. If you found this useful, make sure to like, subscribe, all that good shit, and I'll see you in the next one.